Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another MMATakeover.com interview. My name is Keith Schillen. Today's guest has been a pro MMA fighter for 7 years. He has compiled a 21 and 7 record and is a veteran of both Bellator and CES MMA, where he's a current featherweight champion. He's on a 6 fight winning streak, and he returns to the cage on May 12th in Twin River Casino against Jeremy Spoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Bessette. Matt, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming out. I've been trying to track you down for a long time. I'm not gonna lie, you're a hard guy to get in touch with. Uh, I remember your last fight. I tweeted out. I said, Matt, stop ducking me. I'm not gonna leave you alone until you get an interview. So everyone who was asking for an interview with Matt, I did not leave him alone until he agreed to an interview. So one thing I didn't say in the introduction, I should have said, is number 2 ranked prospect by Pat Miletich. So I shouldn't. I don't want to not give you that credit and that title. So Matt, let's get right into it. One thing that impressed me about you is that you're a fighter. I'm gonna go way back, all the way back to when you were a little kid. You were
Uh-huh.
you were diagnosed with leukemia. Obviously, one thing I'm very proud of our website. We've been a website for 12 years. The first time we ever launched, the first thing we did was a thing called 12 Hours MMA Talk for Cancer. And the first thing we ever did for our website, me and my partner Dave Stewart, who I'm actually in the room with right now, we sat down and we spoke on MMA. We talked about MMA for 12 straight hours as part of a charity event where we raised money for the Jimmy Fund, which obviously I'm sure you know all about the Jimmy Fund, and
Awesome.
you
Yeah,
know. So
that's excellent.
here I just want to hear like what you had to go through at a young age and how that has impacted you to be the fighter you are today.
Well, I got it when I was 2.5 years old, and I was running high fevers for quite a while. And
Wow.
my mom brought me to the doctor, and they said that something maybe actually really wrong with him. So I would bring him to actually get this checked out. So I got blood work, and they ran some tests, and the doctor said that I might be anemic. Um,
Okay.
she said, "Oh my goodness, you might be anemic." And then the doctor also said that could be actually the good thing. He also might have leukemia. And
Jeez.
my mom's heart sank.
Of course.
And then they ran a few more tests, and it came back that I actually did have leukemia. So I was in and out of the hospital for years. Um, there were some like really, really, really rough days,
Yeah.
and till this day, even at 2.5 years old, 3 years old, I still remember them like very, very vividly, because there's times in your life that they really stay with you, whether it's awesome or really scary or something. You can really put yourself in that moment,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of moments like that when I was sick. So I could I could tell you exactly how it happened and when it happened and
Wow.
stuff like that. And even at, like I said, even at 2 years old, it's engraved in my mind. And
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
lost leukemia completely at 11 years old.
Wow, well, that's a long time. I mean, 9 years or
Yeah,
eight and a half years. That's a long time.
yeah. Well, if you what they do is you need to have 7 years of clean blood.
Okay.
So at 4 years old is when I started to have clean blood.
Okay.
So from 2.5 till 4 is when I was pretty much in and out of the hospital all the time, and they were trying to clear me of all the leukemic cells. So during from 4 till 11 is when I needed to have those 7 years of clean blood.
Now you're a young child. You're 2.5 years old. Did you have an idea what exactly was going on? Like, did you know the magnitude that like you might die? Do you even understand that at that age?
Uh, I don't think I don't think that was even an option. To my mom.
Okay.
My mom was always very positive. My mom is the strongest person that I know that I've ever met. She's very, very tough, and she would never cry in front of me. She would obviously do
Of
her
course.
crying,
Yeah.
but she would never cry in front of me. It was always positive. It was the speeches that she would give to me is like, you don't feel good today, but I bet you're going to feel good tomorrow. And even if you don't feel good tomorrow, you'll feel better the next day. It's always looking positive, always finding a way to get better. And even if you don't feel better right now, you'll feel better tomorrow. And it was always a positive atmosphere. Even when I was ridiculously sick. It was a positive atmosphere, and I felt like trash all the time. But
Yeah.
having my mom in my life and always being bedside,
Yeah.
it was a lot happier than you'd think it would be.
So, what treatment did you receive? Did you receive chemotherapy? Was it radiation? And where did
Yes,
it
I had
happen?
chemotherapy.
And where
Yeah,
did
I
it
had
happen?
chemotherapy. I'm sorry.
Where did it happen? Where did you receive the treatment?
Oh, Harvard Hospital.
Harvard. Okay, yeah, that's where you're from, right?
Yeah, in
Okay.
Connecticut.
Okay. I mean, one thing we talk about you just being a fighter. Obviously, you fought a bigger battle than you'll ever have to fight than fighting, MMA fighters. And also, what you want to give credit to is your family. Your family had to fight that fight too. I mean, I am a father. I have three children. One of my youngest child, he's just over 2 years old. Like I couldn't imagine being told that news. Like I don't
No
know
way,
if I
man.
would be as strong as your mother was. So hats off to her too. I hope that she hears this interview, and if she does, like hats off to her for being as strong. What's her first name?
My mom's first name is Geraldine.
Geraldine. Hats off to you, Geraldine. You have all my respect. I couldn't imagine to go through what she had to go through. So I want to talk about something real quick. I know this is probably dear to your heart. It's dear to everybody in CES's heart. Is Dorian Murray, the D Strong kid that was a nationwide, I don't know what the word is, a movement. It was about a young child from Westerly, Rhode Island, who was diagnosed with cancer. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he inspired so many people. His wish was to become famous, and he became famous. It became a hashtag all across the world. And one thing that was something that CES actually embraced. They brought him out to many shows. So did you get to meet him? And I'm sure if you did, there must have been some kind of connection that you had to go through the similar thing that he had to.
I didn't get to.
Oh, no
I
way.
didn't get to, and it's something. Yeah, I know, and it's something that I wish I had. But the one event that I was able to go to that he was there, I didn't know he was there until I left.
Oh.
The one that he was brought into the ring, that was a boxing event.
Oh.
And then there was an MMA show after that that he went to,
Yeah.
and I don't think that I was at that one.
Yeah.
And,
No. I just remember
I
him.
had no idea. I had no idea he was at the one that I was at until I had left.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It
And I
was
remember
kind of it was a
seeing.
bummer.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt you. Remember seeing pictures of him and like Louis Felix is a guy I know. Louis Felix spent a lot of time with him. Um, a lot of the guys at Triforce spent a lot of time with him. So and obviously he's passed away now, but his story still goes around in Rhode Island, and I know CES does a lot of great things with him. So let's go to the
Yeah.
next. Let's talk about the next aspect of your life. Yeah, you're a professional athlete, but you actually got you have asthma. Tell us, how does that affect your training? How does that affect? Has that ever affected you in a fight?
I don't even. I had asthma. The doctor said I had asthma. I
Okay.
just thought I was out of shape.
Okay.
They gave me the inhaler and I used it and stuff. And like, I don't know. I had, my mom said that the doctor said it was sports induced asthma. And I was like, so you mean I was out of shape?
Okay. Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I don't even know if I had it. I never had any like I had some friends growing up that
Yeah.
had asthma bad, but
Uh-huh.
they would have their attacks,
Yeah.
asthma attacks.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything like that. It was just I would wheeze from time to time, but
Yeah.
like I either grew out of it, which apparently some people can, or I had like a really small case of it, or I just didn't have asthma at all. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I dealt with it.
It might have been a thing that doctors kind of give out a lot. I know, like dentists give out, say you need braces a lot. Everybody needs braces.
Yeah.
So let's go to the first question we always ask everybody. I wanted to talk on your battle with cancer and all that. The first question I always ask somebody is, how did you get into mixed martial arts?
Growing up, I was always a small kid. I was picked on by my older brother because if you're a little brother, you just get picked on. And all his friends would pick on me and stuff like that. And I got into fights growing up, and the fact that I was always, ever since I was 2 years old, I was literally fighting for my life
Yeah.
with leukemia. So I've been a fighter even before I knew what a fist fight was. I was
Sure.
fighting for my life even before I knew what a fist fight was. So as soon as MMA came around, like I said, I've been in a lot of fights and street fights and like going out with friends and like just getting jumped, and like it was never I swear to God, It was never me starting anything, but it was
Okay.
always
Yeah. Yeah. Always the other
I
guy.
would never say no to a fight. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I just saw my buddy John Bork. He called me. I'll never forget it. He called me. He goes like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know, nothing. What's up?" He's like, "You want to come over and watch some UFC fights?" And I'm like, "What is that?" And I think I was 20 or 21.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, he's like, "They're like cage fights. They're two guys like fighting in a cage." And I'm like, "That sounds awesome. I'll be over in 20 minutes." Went over to his house. We started watching it. We ended up watching it for a few hours, and then no shit, we went out in his front yard and just started grappling.
Duking it out.
I'd never seen it before in my life.
Do you remember what
Wrestling
show
really
it was?
hard, trying to. They were old. It was like UFC 1, UFC 2,
Oh, just
UFC
old
3.
tapes. Okay.
Yeah, it was just old tapes. Yep, that's how I got into it. I just started watching it, and then a couple weeks later, I was talking to the same guy, my buddy John Bork, and I was like, "Let's find a spot to go train." He's like, "Okay, let's see what's close by." And we find this like hole in the wall place in the back of a karate dojo in Vernon, Connecticut, which is like 20 minutes from us. And we ended up training there once a week, once every other week, and it just is like for fun and to learn some stuff. And after a while, I kind of outgrew that spot. And then I met Oz Pariser at University of Hartford, the wrestling club, because I started wrestling over there. And he invited me to Kip Kolar's house, the president of NAGA. And then after that, it was just smooth sailing. After that, I was like, the first day I met Kip, I was like, "Hey, I'm Matt." He's like, "Hey, nice to meet you." I was like, "I want to fight." He's like, "Okay, I'll get your fight."
Yeah.
And then a few days later, he got me a fight, and it was awesome.
And now you're the CES champion.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
Just one thing led to another, man.
Yeah, one thing led to another. Now you're the champion. So let's talk. Who you train with now?
I'm sorry, who do I train with?
Yeah, who do you train with now? You're not training with the same team, right?
No, right now I train at Underdog MMA in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
I've been there since 2009. I think it was like the end of 2009, maybe the beginning of 2010, something like that. I didn't have any striking, like at all. I just hit hard. I threw like a hard right. That's about it. And I didn't have any striking until I went to Underdog. And then as soon as I did, it was just like, I love this. And I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I have a brown belt in judo, but I would consider myself to be a striker at heart. I just like throwing. I like throwing hands.
All right, so let's talk about your nickname, the Mangler. Who gave you the nickname?
It was before my first fight. I was fighting for Reality Fighting, which Kip Kolar owns.
Yeah.
And we're downstairs in his basement. That's where we trained at the time. It was called Kip's Basement. And we're downstairs training. It's like me, Tim Pinney, Oz Pariser, Matt Grocki. It was like all the old school guys, Ken Catrona, Kip Kolar. They're like, "Oh, so Matt's got a fight in a month or something like that." And he's like, "So Matt's got a fight in a month." And he's like, "But he doesn't have a nickname." He's like, "Let's come up with a nickname." And they started saying funny nicknames and stuff like that. And we're laughing, and it's all a joke. And then Kip goes, "How about the Mangler?" And then Oz looks at me and goes, "I like the Mangler." And then a few of them are like, I like the Mangler. I just started laughing. I'm like, what's really funny is this kid in college, about a year before that, walked up to me, and he goes, "Mangler, what's up?" I'm like, "Mangler?" And he goes, "Yeah, that would be your nickname if you fought MMA." And I'm like, I just laughed. And for whatever reason, my name had been the Mangler well before I knew it was. Wow. So.
Yeah, no, I've rolled a little times with Kip, and I can't believe how strong he is. For a guy, he's not a big guy, and he is strong.
Kip, you said?
Yeah, I've rolled with him a little bit.
He's got good tendon strength. He's not like an explosive guy, but he grabs onto you, and he's got big hands, long fingers.
Yeah,
he's got a tight grip too.
Yeah. So let's talk about your last fight. You fought Kevin Kroom. It was a absolute destruction. I mean, there's no way to describe it. I was so impressed. I mean, I've been watching for a long time. I've never seen you that good before. Obviously, you saw the tweets I was throwing out. I threw out a tweet that said, well, let's get to that in a second. Let's talk about the actual fight. You fought Kevin. Did you expect it to go that easy? Because, I mean, if anybody hasn't seen the fight, Kevin came with a lot of hype. he beat a guy in like 15 seconds, a guy that actually defeated you in the past. So he had a lot of hype about it. He's huge. He's a huge featherweight. He looks like a welterweight, maybe a middleweight. He's humongous, and you beat him in every aspect. You beat him standing. You seen him grappling, wrestling, kicks, Muay Thai, everything. You just dominated the whole fight. He was slowing down. You were getting faster. You seemed very composed, like you were like having fun out there. You were kind of like almost like a guy sparring with somebody that's not better than him. He's almost like you were teaching him teaching him the ropes while you were doing it.
Yeah.
It was crazy impressive.
Thanks.
Did
Man.
you did you expect it to be that easy?
You know what? People were like, there are a lot of people come up to me like, wow, yeah, it's incredible performance, but like nobody attention to how I've been the past couple of years. I was exactly that way during all of my fights.
Uh huh.
But the Joe Ping fight, I was not mentally there.
Okay. We'll get to that.
I was not in it at all.
Yeah.
And it was right before I fought Kevin. So that's what people thought of recently was a slow start and how I got dropped a couple times and
Yeah.
I was bleeding. So they're thinking of like a bad performance, and then they see me kill it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I don't think I've ever seen that before." And I'm like, "Wait a second, I do that all the time."
Uh-huh.
I come out and I throw hands at everybody, and I make everybody quit. That's what I'm really good
Yeah.
at. I get stronger as the fight goes on, and I make people quit. Everybody else gets weaker. So the longer a fight goes, the more I know that I'm just about to finish you. So if it's Lenny Wheeler finished me, he caught me with a right hand as I was throwing a left high kick, and he was able to get the finish, and it was early on in the fight.
Yeah.
If I had weathered a storm for a minute or two, it would have just been really, really downhill for him.
Yeah.
And it's a shame I got caught. That shit happens. You win some, you lose some. But like I said, the longer a fight goes, the more I know that you're just falling into quicksand with me.
All right. So I was crazy. I know you say you don't be that impressed. You do it all the time. I was crazy impressed. I try to be. Obviously, I'm in the media. I try not to be a fanboy. I always get on people who act like fanboys. There's a lot of people in the media, especially local media, who act like fanboys. I get on them. I'll admit, I was being a fanboy. I was tweeting, from our website's Twitter, not from my personal Twitter, from our website's Twitter, and I was acting like a fanboy. One of the tweets I said was, "Hey," and the fight was actually still going on. I said, "Matt, check your phone. The UFC's calling." I had another one that said and I know you saw it and retweeted it, and you retweeted another one. I said if Matt Bessette's next fight is not in the UFC, their talent director should be fired. The UFC's talent director should be fired. And I still truly believe it. I know you've seen me tweet out when a 145 pounder drops out. I'm like, hey, put Matt Bessette in it. Like, this kid needs to be in.
Yeah.
Why isn't he in? So obviously we're gonna get to your next fight coming up. What is up, man? Have you talked to the UFC at all, or not even just UFC? I know you've been a Bellator veteran, but Bellator, World Series of Fighting, one of these nationally recognized organizations. Have any of them even contacted you yet?
Yeah. The UFC is the goal. So I had my opportunities in Bellator, and I went 7-2 in Bellator.
Yeah.
My only losses were to Daniel Weichel and Scott Cleave, two guys that just held me down in the third round, and that's how they won the fight.
Yeah.
So, I did really well, really, really well in Bellator.
Yeah, you made the semifinals of the tournament.
They never wanted me to be one of their guys.
Yeah.
And that was extremely clear to me. I wanted to talk to their matchmaker. I can't remember his name. I'm feeling an idiot right now. The new matchmaker over at Bellator, and I ended up emailing him, and he's like, I'm sorry, it took me a couple days to get back to you. I've been really busy. I'll email you back on Monday. I promise. I really want to talk to you. So I was talking about how concerned I was about the previous show that I was on. I felt like I was treated like garbage, and I got 9 fights with them, and I'm treated like garbage. They put me as like one of the fights that's in the dark, and it's just like it's embarrassing at that point. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm respected. And Monday comes along, I don't get an email. Tuesday comes along, I don't get an email. I email him back on Wednesday. I don't even get a response, and I still haven't had one. So I'm just like, fuck it, I want to fight for a company that respects me like I respect them, and that's why I'm with CES.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
The company that I've ever fought for.
Okay. That's good to hear that you're happy with who you are. Yeah, I always people ask me, local questions because I'm a hardcore fan. They say, the other day guys were asking me about certain fighters. Hey, a friend of mine showed up, and saw me at press row, said, "Hey, who should I be watching?" And I kind of like circled this guy and that guy, and said, "Yeah, this guy might make the UFC. That guy might make the UFC." But when I describe you, I said, "This guy's not gonna make the UFC. He's gonna be in the UFC." You know what I mean by that? Like he's not gonna like, all right, go in the UFC and go into it. Like he's gonna be around for a while, and that's how I talk about you. Um,
Yeah.
so, so let's talk about this current fight. You fight in May 12th. You're going against Jeremy Spoon. Tell us, have you seen Spoon fight? What is his strengths that you have to be worried about, and what weaknesses do you think you can exploit?
His strengths are extremely clear. He's a grappler that likes to he likes to grapple. He
Yeah,
likes to grapple on the cage. He likes to grapple on the ground. He's a close fighter. He doesn't like the
yeah,
distance
a
game,
grinder.
and I could tell that right away.
Yeah,
He doesn't like the distance game. His striking is okay.
mm-hmm.
His striking is okay. It's not like his dad. I mean, don't get to 20-3 being a shit
Of
striker.
course.
But his striking is okay. But where he's excels and where he's really competent is on the ground.
Yeah.
So, I excel on the ground as well.
Yeah.
And if the fight ends up there, then I have 100% of me believes that I can submit anybody that I fight in MMA. So if it goes on the ground, I think I could submit him. But I'm always looking for the finish with my hands. So my weaknesses are stronger than his strength.
Okay.
So I'm confident. I'm very confident.
Okay. Just I haven't seen as many Spoon fights as you probably have, but the ones I have seen, and I don't know how much of like other organizations you watch UFC stuff. If I'm comparing to a UFC fighter, he kind of reminds me of like a Darren Elkins, a guy who wants to get in a dirty grinding fight, being in close, like you said, try to get a takedown, try to win on top. That's what I've seen. I don't. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've seen more film of them than I have. So you mentioned your weakness, but what would you say? Like you said, your weaknesses are better than his weaknesses. What would you say is your weakness?
What would you say is my weakness?
I if I well man, I gotta be honest. I've never been asked that question by a fighter, and I appreciate you asking me. If I'm being brutally honest, your striking is fantastic. Your grappling is fantastic. The two weaknesses, if I'm being brutally honest, I'm a little worried about your chin. And
My chin?
yeah, if I'm being, I mean, if you want me to be 100% honest, I'm a little worried about your chin. You've been dropped a couple times, and your wrestling is not, collegiate level wrestling. Like I'd be worried about a wrestler, like you've said in Bellator, basically taking you down, holding you down.
Well, I'm actually very confident in my chin.
Okay.
But my
I'm just being
wrestling, I never wrestled. So.
Yeah, but hold on a second, because
my wrestling, I never wrestled.
Yeah.
I have a great scramble. I have a very, very high level scramble.
Yeah.
And that's what saves me sometimes in wrestling exchanges.
Yeah.
And I have very good hips, so
Yeah.
I can avoid situations where it becomes a wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my chin, I've only been finished one time.
Yeah.
In 28 fights.
Well, I mean, that's very impressive.
I've been 28 fights and I've been in a lot of 5-round. I've prepared for several 5-round fights. So I have a lot of cage time.
Yeah, no, you do. Listen,
my chin is still very good.
If I'm being 100,
really proud of.
If I'm being 100 honest, I totally appreciate you asking me what you think, for what I think your weakness is, because most people won't, I've talked to other fighters and they say, oh, what's your weakness? I'm like, I don't. My weakness is I overtrain, or my weakness is that I put too much pressure on myself, or something like they give like a really corny answer. They won't really analyze their game. I am so high on you. So to ask me to find your weakness, I think a wrestler like a Ben Askren type who will take you down and just hold you down, not try to, be active on top, because you're very active on bottom. I mean, for example, the Joe Ping fight is the most recent time where you've been on bottom. You were active. You were moving. You were going to rubber guard. Obviously you got leg locks, heel hooks on them, and stuff like that. So I'm not. Please don't think I'm trying to bash you. I am huge in you. I'm your biggest fan. I'm up there tweeting, this guy needs to be in the UFC. Like, what the hell's the matter with the UFC? This guy's the truth. This kid's good. So, but let's
Yeah,
be.
you don't have to explain yourself.
No. I'm going to explain because I want to go back even further. No. I want to go back even further.
I asked you for your. Everybody's got their beliefs on other people. I'll tell you what my weaknesses are.
Okay.
What my weakness used to be was that I couldn't really get up from bottom. Somebody held me there.
Yeah.
They could, just like you said. That's how Daniel Weichel won. That's how Scott Cleave won.
Yeah.
Those are my last two like actual losses where I didn't get caught with a punch. And that's what they did. They just kind of held me there. After that, I really, really started upping my leg lock game, so that I could give up my back, roll for a leg. You got to give up your back sometimes to get to your feet.
Yep.
So there's things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't giving up my back ever.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want my back taken.
The natural jiu-jitsu
game. Stalling, maybe getting the choke or something.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want people to get 4 points,
Sure.
So after that, I started scrambling a lot more, giving up my back a little bit, avoiding the hooks, and just roll for legs. So upping my leg lock game got rid of that. So forget about anybody holding me down ever again. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If I'm held down for a little while, I'll get up, and I'll make them get up by attacking legs or something like that. And as far as the chin goes, man, I can still take a punch from a heavyweight.
All right.
Sometimes you get caught at the right angle and it stops you. But both times that Joe caught me, Joe punches. He punches very hard.
Yeah.
Yes, but the way he threw both those punches, it was kind of offbeat. Almost like I saw it coming, and it was slow and then really fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was really nice.
Yeah.
The second one was really nice because it was like real slow, boom, real fast.
Yeah.
And, if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for the timing of it, it's the one that you don't see coming, or the one that surprises you. And that's what kind of dropped me the second time. So, I'm very confident with my chin still. I'll stand with anybody, my weight or heavier.
Well, you recovered in both times. You could drop one of them. I didn't think it was that good a shot. I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one. I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched the fight. I remember he hit you with an uppercut in one of them. I don't remember if that was the first time he dropped you or the second time.
He broke my nose with the very first punch.
Okay.
Actually, the very first punch. I went southpaw.
Yeah.
The very first punch he threw, he broke my nose, and it was bleeding right away. And when he broke it, it was a little fuzzy because my nose was nice and puffed up. And it was a little fuzzy because I couldn't really see much of what was going on for the next 20 seconds or so. And he barely clipped me with the uppercut, but I didn't see it coming, so it floored me. With 3 seconds later, I was completely all there. So it was just one of those flash knockout. It dropped me quick.
So let's.
Whereas the Lenny Wheeler one was really hard.
Okay.
That one hit me square.
Okay, so let's talk about. I mean, we keep talking about Joe. I was bringing it up at the end, but let's bring it up now. We just interviewed him. We did a written interview with him. We actually posted it the day of his fight. That's when we interviewed him, set it up. Obviously, he fought Kenny Foster. It didn't go his way. It's pretty controversial fight. I thought he won the first round. Foster won the second round. Then there was a blatant groin shot that hurt him. But I don't want to take anything away from Foster. Foster took the very best shots Ping gave him, and he was able to recover and come back very strong. So I don't want to take anything away from Foster. It was a very impressive win, regardless. And Ping's a good fighter. The reason why I'm bringing it up to you is some trash talk Ping said. I asked him, I said, hey, you get by Foster, what's next? And my put in questions, do you want a rematch with Bessette? And his exact words were, Bessette's a paper champ. He wouldn't fight me. So my question to you is, what's your response?
I'm a paper champ. I wouldn't fight him.
Okay.
Joe, at the end of the day, Joe tapped me and said, without saying verbally, when you tap somebody, you say, I give up. Please don't kill me. Please spare my life because you're going to kill me if this referee doesn't stop this. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Whether it's I have your leg or your arm or whatever, if I have your leg, I'm going to break your leg, and then I'm going to take your neck, and I'm going to murder you by choking you unconscious.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nobody there to save your life.
Yeah.
You said, please, 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 somebody stop this.
Yeah.
Whether he taps out or I knock him out, regardless, he said, please stop this. So fuck you, Joe. if you think that I'm a paper champ, for one. Look at who I've fought. Look at who I've beat. Look who you've beat. It's not who you did well against, Joe. You did well against me in 1 round. Good for you, bro. It's not who you did well against. It's who you beat. You beat guys that are below 500 or 500, fucking nobodies. And you're coming to me and saying that I'm a paper champ? Bro, I'm 7-2 in Bellator, and look who I beat. Look who I'm fighting next. A guy who's 20-3. Watch me fuck him up. Then tell me I'm a paper champ.
Wow, Matt coming strong.
I hope Joe hears that. No,
he will.
That. I'm a nice guy. Listen, I'm a nice guy. I'm nice to everybody. I respect everybody. But you come at me sideways, fuck you. Fuck you running.
Wow. So let's talk about the fights the other night. UFC 42, you were there. I was at Press Row. I didn't get a chance to see you. I saw you. I didn't get to reach out to you. I was doing tweeting and writing recaps and everything, which make sure everyone checks out on the MMATakeover.com if you missed the fights. So any fights stand out to you that night?
I'm sorry. I'm so fucking pissed off.
I'd say UFC CES 42. We're filming this. It's Sunday, April 2nd. It just happened 2 nights ago, Friday, March 31st. Is any fight you're really impressed by, or anything stand out for you that night?
After just being all fucking pissed off at Joe, I was pretty happy with his performance. I thought I did really well, actually.
Okay.
But I thought, that groin shot may have
controversial.
May have hurt him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Definitely controversial because they showed the replay, and I mean, it definitely hit him in the nuts.
Yeah, no, it did.
I don't know how much it affected him or what, but I had it scored the same. I had Joe the 1st round,
yeah,
and I had Kenny the 2nd round,
yep,
and
me
it
too.
was pretty even, probably leaning towards Kenny in the 3rd round.
Yep.
But then when he got hit in the nuts, it was like
change the fight.
Pretty clear that Kenny took the 3rd round too. So you never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
After that, sorry, I didn't mean to.
After that, after that, I saw it that he wrote online. I'm tough. I'll be back better. Thank you to my coaches. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. Good.
Yeah.
Good for him. And then he goes, what do you say? He's like something about losing to guys that just want to heel hook you, or guys that just want to decision you, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you got beat by Kenny, and you got beat by me. Just take the loss.
Yeah.
Take the loss.
Yep.
Who fucking cares, man? I lost 7 times. You know why? Because they were better than me on that day.
Yep.
Who cares? Get over it. Be a fucking man.
So the one thing I told Joe, and I put it on Twitter, I put the results out, we were tweeting out, and he obviously responded to my tweet. I said, best fight of the night, most controversial fight. And I said, blatant groin shot. Now, in all fairness, everyone gets on referees. He missed it. I was at Press Row with 2 other people, and we were discussing it while it was happening. Was that a groin shot? Was that a liver shot? We were just debating it. I mean, the referee didn't get a replay. He doesn't get to, it's if he stops it from a groin strike, it's the right thing. But if it's a body shot, and he doesn't stop it, then he's screwing the other guy. I'm saying if it's a body shot and he does stop it, thinking it's a groin shot, then he screws Kenny. That said, I put right on Twitter. I said, hey Joe, appeal the decision. Appeal the decision to the Rhode Island Athletic Department, and they look at the tape and say, hey, there's a clear groin shot that affected the fight. Maybe they'll call it no contest. I really do hope he does. Hope he does do that. If he doesn't, I mean, that's on him. So one fight I want to ask you about. You used to fight at lightweight. You've now moved down to featherweight. Louis Felix just came back. It was a non-title fight. He won 1st round submission. Conor McGregor's going after 2 belts. He has 2 belts. David Branch, he won 2 belts. Jose Shorty Torres is going after 2 belts. Is that something you'd be interested in? Would you be interested in moving up and challenging Louis?
Louis? No. Louis is like my brother. I'd never fight Louis.
Okay. I got to ask, though. I got to try to make waves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no way. Louis is like my brother. I thought about that. I swear to God, I thought about that, how cool that would be. But it's just not even a chance in hell I would fight Louis. Unless we were in the UFC.
Okay,
in the same weight division, as we're not. But if we were in the same weight class in the UFC, and they were like, my opponent just I'm in the UFC, my opponent just backed out, and Louis Felix is the first guy to call, I'd be like, fucking call him up.
Of course, yeah.
Give that dude a contract, let's do this. But there's no way I would fight Louis. Belt or not, I wouldn't fight him outside the UFC.
Okay. So when you first came on the scene, we talked off the air earlier. You fought three of my guys that I've either been a teammate with, like Jeff Anderson, or guys I've sparred with in the past. Jeff Kamara, he no longer fights. Joshua Burge, who just fought the other night. You beat all of them. All three of those guys are tough guys. But you have made drastic improvements since then. I truly believe this, and I interview a lot of people at CES. We're a nationally organization where we talk to UFC fighters, we talk to Bellator fighters, we talk to World Series of fighters, everybody. But we do spend a lot of time talking to CES fighters because I think it's a great organization. I think it's one of the best regional organizations. I will say this: I truly believe that you're the best pound for pound fighter in CS, regardless of the weight class. I actually believe that even when Andre Sigmatar was around, and I'm huge on Andre. I'm huge on Andre. I was throwing him out there, and that he needs to be in the UFC. I mean, I'm huge on Andre. I'm huge on Cody Norby. I consider him a friend of mine. You're ranked number 2 right now by Pat Militich's Access TV prospect rankings. The guy that's ahead of you is Hyon Barcelos. He fights for LFA and RFA, and he was with RFA, and then he's with LFA. Whatever's going on with him, I'm not really sure.
I think it's LFA now.
Yeah, they got bought. Yeah, they got bought by LFA. Used to be RFA. Yeah. He's phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen more of your fights than I've seen his, but he's really good. He's really quick hands, good on the ground everywhere. It's a fight they've asked you about. Your last fight, they asked about it like almost like they were trying to set up, champion versus champion. Have you seen a lot of his fights? What do you think of him as a fighter? How do you think you match up against them? And is that a fight you want? And then, so I'll throw a fifth part into that. And have they reached out yet for a cross promotion type thing?
No, nobody's reached out to me.
Okay.
For one. 2, I've never seen anything on him.
Okay. He's good.
His record is good.
Yeah, he's good.
His record is good. I know that. But there's not a featherweight alive that I wouldn't fight.
Okay.
And feel like I couldn't beat them.
Sure.
So, I'm sure he poses some threats, whether it's on the ground or with his hands, because honestly, I've never seen any video on him. I'm sure he's a killer, but like I said, I'm very, very confident in everything that I have to offer. So, I don't know if fight were to come to my doorstep, I'd probably entertain it. But I think what I said when they asked me in the cage is, meet me in the UFC.
Yep.
Because for one, I thought I was going to get a call from the UFC after that victory.
Yeah.
But 2, that's my goal. I want to be fighting the best guys in the world in the UFC. Fighting Spoon in CES is not ideal because he's one of the better guys out there.
Yeah.
I'd like to fight him in the UFC in the undercard.
Sure.
That'd be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But if I got to beat another guy to get into the UFC, then I'll just beat another guy, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the guys I always look at like more local UFCs, and Buffalo's this weekend. And that was actually definitely a card I thought that you might have got a call for.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they come back to Boston, there's nothing scheduled, but they come back to Boston. But they just announced a Long Island show in July, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, they just announced it yesterday.
UFC announced the Rhode Island show?
No, Long Island. No, not Rhode Island.
Long Island.
No, Long Island.
Jesus.
We always do this thing. We do a fan forum. This comes from a fan. So this question comes in, and I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. It's Dan Raul Isap. He's from San Fernando, California. His question is: if you could fight any fighter in any weight class ever, who would you pick?
Any fighter at any weight class
ever. Yep.
Conor McGregor at featherweight.
Okay. Yep. At featherweight. All right.
Absolutely.
And what would your prediction be for that fight?
How would I beat him?
Yeah.
Heel hook.
Okay, of course. I should have known that. I should have known you were going to say that. All right, so we're going to get you out of here. I know you're very busy. Obviously, you got fights trained for. So let's talk. Let's get a prediction for your fight against Jeremy on May 12th. What's your prediction?
He's a wrestler. He's very tough. He's going to avoid a kind of a scrappy fight with me. He's going to avoid striking with me. There's going to be a lot of clinching, I think. There's going to be a lot of probably scrambles on the ground, battles for position, jockeys for position. So I think it'll probably go until at least the third round.
Okay.
So I'm going to say I'm going to make him want to quit by the beginning of the third round.
Okay.
And he'll quit in the third.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to finish him with my hands.
Okay. So a TKO or a knockout?
TKO in the third round.
All right. So we got a lot of people like to bet out there. You heard from the champ himself. Make sure you go to whatever gambling site you like. Make sure you take Matt. You take him by third round, TKO, KO, knockout, and it's going to be a big payday for you. All right. So we appreciate you coming on. Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We've been trying to track this down. I've told people, hey, I'm going to get Matt on. We've been requested for you. There's a couple other guys we're going to track down. Nate Andrews is next. But we got this one, so I'm very glad for that. So my very last question to you, Matt, is have you submitted to the takeover?
Hey, this is Matt the Mangler Bessette, the CES MMA Featherweight Champion of the world, and I have just submitted to the takeover.
Matt, we wish you good luck in your next fight and all future fights, and we welcome you to the MMA Takeover family.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate this.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our interview with CES Featherweight Champion Matt Bessette. Make sure to check out his next fight, May 12th in Twin River Casino. And to continue to receive the best coverage, head over to our website, themmmatakeover.com. That's themmmatakeover.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening.